Me and my friends got into a food fight with middle schoolers, made a truce, and then got into a full-on brawl. Well, it was mainly getting jumped, but in this video, I'm gonna explain everything that happened. So my town does these concerts in the middle of the town every Thursday of every week over the summer. I'm gonna give a little bit of context of how the city was laid out, but like only the parts where it's necessary. I promise it'll be important for the rest of the story. The concert that's happening is right here, with all the audience people right here. The building I'll call the Dairy Queen building is right here. There's this little tunnel thing to get to each side of the building right here. Over here is the Little Caesars and the liquor store. And then there's this big neighborhood behind Dairy Queen. Again, all will be important to the rest of the story. So me and my friends don't go to these often, but last year when we were around 15 years old, the first one of the summer was going on, so we just decided to bike down to it. We park our bikes on the side of the Dairy Queen building and walk towards the concert. The friends that I were with were Evan, Carmine, Abraham, Tyler, and Ben. Some of these should be familiar names if you watch the shorts or some of the other videos. Since this was the first concert of the summer, they did this whole fair thing right next to it, where there was food trucks, bounce houses, rock climbing, and a bunch of other stuff. For more context, concert right here, fair thing over here. We start walking around and meet some of our other friends. So as sort of a big group, we're walking around this fair, and we noticed this big gaming truck. And this gaming truck was like really cool. There was a switch on the outside with 2 screens that were running like Smash Bros, Mario Kart, like any Nintendo game. And then you walk in on the inside and there's this big row of comfy ass seats and then 7 screens with Xboxes and PlayStations. And all of them you can run whatever you wanted. Call of Duty, Minecraft, whatever you wanted. So we're playing, we're having the time of our lives. But after about 45 minutes or so, we're getting bored and we're feeling hungry. So we all, as a big group, walk down to the Little Caesars. So everyone goes into the Little Caesars to buy a few pizzas, and then I walk into the liquor store right next to it to buy Faygo Cola and some cups. We meet back outside, and now we're sitting in the parking lot eating pizza and drinking some Faygo Cola. But while we're sitting there, we see a big group of 8th graders and freshmen walking to like the middle of the parking lot. At the time, we were freshmen in high school, so a couple of these kids were our age. And there was one kid that I recognized that was our age named Muhammad. He goes to a different high school as me, but I went through middle school with him, so I knew all about him. And needless to say, this kid was all sorts of trouble. I'm not gonna say that we're not troublemakers because fuck, like half my videos are just us doing dumb shit. But this kid was completely different. This kid was the most like asshole I've ever seen. We're troublemakers, but we're not complete dicks like this guy. And then in that same group, there's this little white kid with black hair. I'll name him James. And then the last kind of important person from that group is this fat kid I'll name Toby. Again, there were more kids than that, but these were just the important ones. And I'm also pretty sure that James and Toby were 8th graders, so just throwing that out there. So they're kind of like walking past us, but since they're a big group, they're going pretty slow. And then we catch their eye. So now as they're walking past, they're talking heaps of just shit to us. After we catch on that they're talking shit to us, we're throwing it right back at them. And then it becomes a back and forth from them to us, from them to us. I'll throw in this video that I took of the argument.
You look like a very fine guy.
He called you Billy Badass.
Oh, we're not talking.
Oh, Billy Badass.
But noticeably, it was the Tubby kid that was talking the most amount of shit to us. And then, hey Porky, shut the fuck up! Evan screamed this so loud, and by the look of Tubby's face, it really upset him. And at this time, Tubby was eating like a large Dairy Queen ice cream, and he was about halfway done with it. But obviously, Tubby couldn't care less for this ice cream, because he full on chucks it at Evan. But it doesn't hit Evan. Tubby misses him completely and hits Carmine in the back. So now Carmine is covered in ice cream, and rightfully pissed. Then I'm like, holy shit, we gotta do something about this. We're not about to let these middle schoolers talk shit to us and then throw ice cream at us. We don't want to look like we're just gonna take that. So I grabbed the 2-liter of Faygo that I bought and give it to Carmine to pour on Tubby's head. But knowing it had like a small opening, it was gonna come out insanely slow. So instead I grab a cup, pour the Faygo into the cup, and give it to Carmine. You have 1 shot, soldier. Make it good. Thanks, coach. So he grabs the cup from my hand, runs over to Tubby, and completely slams that shit on his head. Fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now Tubby's covered in sticky, sugary cola from head to toe. Because of this, the screaming continues back and forth. And now it's just like random insults. You look like a fucking vagina. Yeah, well, you're a virgin. Aren't you in middle school? You are too, dumbass. We are just screaming whatever comes to mind at each other. But it gets really dull after like 5 minutes. And this was the most pointless argument I've ever been in. And I think everyone else noticed how pointless it was because it was really going nowhere. So we make amends. Mohammed and Ben go to the middle of the parking lot, shake hands, ending the war. So beautiful. So after we make amends, we start going as a big-ass group down to Dairy Queen. So now back to the map POV. Ben and a few kids from that other group are talking. They're up towards here, like closer to Dairy Queen. Kind of in the middle are me, Tyler, and Abraham. There might have been like a few kids there. I don't know. The three of us are just all I remember. And then behind us were like just some other kids, you know, probably Evan and Carmine were probably back there. And then some of the kids from the other group, I honestly can't really remember. But while me, Abraham, and Tyler were together, we're kind of just talking. But all I remember was Tyler mentioned that he had his switchblade on him. But this shouldn't be a problem because nothing's gonna happen in public, right? So as we're walking, I hear that two kids from the other group are talking, but I just think nothing of it. I couldn't hear exactly what they were saying, but I go to turn behind me to see who it was, and before I could even turn, these two go fully sprinting past us. Now by this point, Ben and those kids are up here towards like the opposite end of the Dairy Queen building, but me, Tyler, Abraham, and like all those kids, we're over here, and those kids were running up over to where Ben is. But before I could even see what was happening, this whole crowd forms. There was such a big crowd of people there that I couldn't even see what was happening, nor what those kids initially were running at. And then all I hear is, oh shit, oh shit. So needless to say, there was definitely something fucking bad happening, and it 100% had something to do with those two running past us. We run up to see what was happening, and through the heaping amounts of people, all I see are Ben's legs flying up in the air. It was like a fucking cartoon. That cannot be good at all. Guys, I have my knife on me. Oh shit, right. So Abraham and Tyler walk back towards the Little Caesars, and then I go back to see what was happening outside the Dairy Queen building. All of a sudden, this crowd is either going through the tunnel that I talked about earlier, or are just walking away completely. So now the people that were kind of left over earlier, I'm trying to ask them what happened. And what these people said blew my mind. So Ben was just walking and talking with some of the people from the other group like I was talking about. But then from behind him, James grabs him from the arms, and Muhammad runs up in front of Ben and starts throwing punches. And before I go any further, how pussy do you have to be to have someone else hold your person down while you're beating them up? Like, if you're gonna beat someone up, at least let it be fair. Let the other person throw a few punches too. He would have whooped his ass if it wasn't for James holding him back. Like, say if they were trying to rob him or something, I would have much more understood the holding down thing. Obviously, I would still be mad, but it would be a little more understandable. But they literally just held Ben down to beat his ass for no reason, no motivation behind it. Back to the story. After they attack Ben, they go running through that tunnel. And Ben, skin teared up from the concrete and shirt completely ripped up, goes and chases after them. That's when the word that the cops were coming. So the people that were watching either committed to it and followed through the tunnel, or were like, I'm not doing this shit, and walked away. So that's why the crowd vanished. And then that's where I land right now, right after all of that just happened. So I'm just sitting there astonished, not knowing what to do, when all of a sudden, my dad fully sprints past me into the tunnel. What in the Smash Bros multiverse is going on right now? So he runs through the tunnel. Dad, what are you doing? Oh shit, wait. Your sister told me that your friend group got into a big fight. No. So I explained to him everything that just happened. And then he's like, Aiden, I think we gotta find Ben. All right, let's do it. Some great father-son bonding experience trying to find out where these fuckheads went. So that tunnel, once you go through it, it pops you out into like a parking lot. And then once you go through that parking lot, it takes you to this big condo neighborhood. So we go into that neighborhood looking for Ben. And right when we step foot in there, we see Ben, his body looking like he just got out of a Hell in a Cell match, yet his face looking like nothing happened. Then behind him were two cops. We start talking to Ben, and that's when we find out that Muhammad and James ran away before the cops could show up. Which is kind of surprising because the police station is literally across the street from where we were at. So now in this moment, these cops are trying to get any piece of information they can get to where Muhammad and James are. But nobody knows anything. So after that, Ben gets escorted to the police station, which again is right across the street from where we were at. As they're taking him, we as a big group kind of follow. So pretty much everyone that was left there, which I honestly can't even remember, all went to the police station waiting outside for Ben. So we were trying to wait there as long as possible, but with how dark it was getting, and us not knowing when Ben was gonna come out, we all just decided to go home. Now the day after was when I kind of got all the information of what happened at the police station. I don't know every single little detail, but I'm just gonna give like a summary of the information that I was given. So Ben is having a conversation with the cops in some sort of room. I mean, I don't even know if it was like some like interrogation room. Beats me. And then Ben's parents show up and now they're all kind of talking to the cops. The cops ended up having to break the news to Ben and his parents that odds are they probably weren't even gonna find the kids. And that's because they literally had no information about him. But Ben had to cut his loss and go home defeated. But honestly, props for Ben though. He wasn't about to take that shit. He went full on sprinting after them. If that was me, I would have been sitting there like just completely stressed out. So props to him for just sprinting at him. But with enough of my yapping, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Decided to include this green screen that I got when I was like 6 years old.
Let me know if you guys like that. I kind of keep fucking up, and I think it might end up with like a shadow. I don't know. I haven't edited this yet, so I have no clue. I'll try not to add this little shadow thing. Make sure you guys subscribe. Recently, I've been doing live streams. I did Tamagotchi Life today and yesterday. I hope I'm still consistent, but obviously with editing these videos, I can't really be juggling a bunch of shit at once.
I made a Discord server. You can join that. But with anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, comment, all that shit. And I'll see you in the next one.
I will buy you